My beloved Madridistas, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to Spain, this absolutely beautiful country, but unfortunately home to the most disgusting, corrupt league in the world. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep saying it as long as it continues to be true. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about the match last night. This was a match of two very distinct parts, and we need to see these through sort of two different lenses. The first 30 minutes, when we played with 11 men, I thought we played fantastic football. There's a lot we need to discuss. I think really positive takeaways. But then, of course, after the red card, a completely ridiculous red card, we're left with 10 men. And in today's modern football, which is so competitive at this level, it's a game of inches and millimeters. When you take a player off a squad and you leave a squad with 10 men, this is no longer football. This is just survival ball. And unfortunately, that's what we had to do for 60 minutes. So we need to divide the match into those two components. The takeaways in the first 30 minutes are fantastic. We are now looking at a Kylian Mbappe that I think is the best player in the world at the moment, the most informed player in the world. A lot of really positive takeaways. And these 10 very brave players managed to hold off what was clearly a daylight robbery. Okay, let me give you my thoughts on the match, players, etc. Thanks for joining me as always. Lots to go over, so let's get started. Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, let's talk about this match last night. Actually, before we get started on the match, just one quick thing. I just want a quick shout out to one of my subscribers, Vuk, from Serbia, who was actually in Madrid with his brother, and he reached out to me and we hung out for a little bit. Very cool to meet you, Vuk. I hope you guys had a great trip. I really try to read all your comments, and if you guys are in town, I love meeting you guys. So, if I happen to miss a message, forgive me. But if you guys are coming to Madrid, definitely let me know. It's always cool to meet you guys. Okay. Let's talk about this match. Now, first of all, the lineup. Now, when you saw the lineup, it wasn't terribly surprising, but I think that the first three things that sort of stick out very clearly, the three sort of things to discuss would be the presence of Carvajal as starting right back, Ceballos in the middle of the pitch, and then Brahim playing up front on the right in that very hotly contested position. Those are probably the things that were a little bit more surprising. Rudiger, as I'm sure you guys know by now, is injured again. This time it's a muscular injury. It's not the knee. They thought it was a very small tear. It turned out to be a little bit bigger than they expected. So Militao's presence was not terribly surprising. I do think it's interesting that Xavi is choosing to play Carvajal as many minutes as he is. It is a little bit surprising. I think it's wonderful, and I think the message he's sending is very positive. I think one of the clear takeaways this season is that he is going to use all 25 players. Everybody's going to get a chance to play. I am surprised at how many minutes he's giving Carvajal. This is a 33-year-old who came back from a brutal injury, but he is showing so much trust in Carvajal. I don't think he had a particularly good game, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But it was a little bit surprising to see Carvajal there. Again, Trent taking rest on the bench. Now, Ceballos in the middle of the pitch. This is, perhaps more easy to understand. I think Fede is one of our more valuable assets, and he's played so many minutes the last couple of years. He is so generous with his effort every time he plays. I think Fede is a player that needs to rest more than he has been the last couple of years. So I think it made a lot of sense to see Ceballos in the middle of the pitch. Interestingly, the second sort of shit hits the fan, you see how quickly he brings Fede out. It tells you how valuable Valverde is to this squad. But I do think it made sense to let Ceballos play and give Fede some rest. And then, of course, up front, Brahim, it's interesting. He has Mastantuono, got plenty of opportunities already. This time Mastantuono, didn't start and Brahim started. It could have been Rodrigo as well. I think this sort of right-wing position is going to be quite hotly contested. Brahim didn't really have a very good match, in my view, but I think you're going to see a lot of rotation, in particular in that position. I think you're going to see a lot of changes. Okay, in terms of the match itself, look, the first half, I thought, like I say, we have to divide this into two matches because there is no better way to destroy a football match in today's day and age than handing out a red card. It just ruins the match. Playing with 10 men these days is very, very, very difficult. At this level, teams are so good. Every player has skill. It's just very, very difficult to play with one arm tied behind your back. So I think that when it comes to sort of trying to analyze and learn about what Xavi's trying to do, we're not going to get anything out of the last 60 minutes of this match. Because when you play with 10 men, you're playing survival ball. But the first 30 minutes, I thought, were excellent. And this is what we really need to focus on to kind of understand what's going on. I thought the first 30 minutes were excellent. We were rotating, circulating the ball with a lot of speed. There was a lot of movement off the ball, meaning the player that has the ball has so many passing options because there's so much movement off the ball. I thought we were pressing with a lot of intensity. We were recovering the ball very, very effectively, high up on the pitch. We very rarely had to sort of put ourselves in a kind of low block position. We were very aggressive in the middle of the pitch and high up on the pitch, recovering the ball well. We looked comfortable in possession, very quick ball movement. We created tons of chances in those first 30 minutes. This could have been this looked like it was heading to sort of 0-3, 0-4. I think their goalkeeper Ramiro had a fantastic night because, like I say, in the first 30 minutes we could have scored so many goals. Now, unfortunately, the game already started to get tainted in the first minute, and the offside call against Kylian. Look, this is the third goal that's been disallowed on Kylian in the last two matches. One of them in the previous match was clearly offside. The second one, I resist. I have a hard time believing that it was. This one, I don't know what to tell you guys. This, in real time, this did not look offside to me. It just did not look offside to me. And why is it that every single one of these tiny little marginal calls always go against us? And what I find really upsetting is that the Media Pro people here in Spain, and it's owned by this guy, I've mentioned this before, this guy Rodes, who is not only a Barça sort of fanatic and has been involved with the organization his whole life, this is one of the richest men in Spain, and he let Barça borrow 100 million euros of his own money. Well, this is the guy that controls Media Pro, and everything that you see on the cameras, the replays, the VAR booth, completely controlled by this guy. Tell me if this is normal, okay? It took 10 minutes to see this frame. This frame where they claim that Kylian is offside, it took 10 minutes. Now, if this is really a semi-automatic type of thing, why does it take 10 minutes to show us one frame? Because it doesn't take that long in any other competition, in the Club World Cup, in the Champions League, because they're trying to find the frame that they need to use to claim he was offside. And what they don't show you when they show you this frame is the moment that the ball is struck. So what they show you is a frame when the ball has already left the foot of the passer. This frame, if it's just 1 millisecond too late, you're not seeing the real picture. I have a real problem with this goal. I am not so sure that it's offsides, and it's very obvious what these people are trying to do. But anyway, this one was called off. But again, we continued to play very well after that first minute, creating tons of chances. The first goal finally came in the 12th minute. This was a wonderful deep ball to Kylian, who with one directed touch and an incredible amount of speed was able to get behind his defender. Kylian at the moment is the best player in the world. He's the most informed player in the world. The speed, if you look at this goal and just the speed and the clinical finishing, Kylian is in one of the best moments that we've seen in his career. I think he looks magnificent. That was just an extraordinary goal, great pass, brutal finish, like I say. Now, after the goal, we kept attacking. We looked very, very hungry, continuing to look for that other goal. Like I say, tons of headers that were literally taken off the line by Ramiro, who, again, I think had a fantastic match. Now, up front, Brahim was very quiet, didn't have a lot of luck with the ball when he was in possession, was very well marked, but had sort of long spells where he didn't participate. Brahim was very quiet. Vini was a little bit sloppy. He did combine well on a few occasions, but he just looked a little bit sloppy, that first touch, and his passing a little bit imprecise. But despite that, we looked very dangerous. We looked very dangerous because our collective play was very good, and Kylian is in incredible state of form. And I think on the back of that, despite Vini being a little bit sloppy and Brahim being quiet, We were able to create phenomenal opportunities in that first half. Now, the other play that completely conditioned this match was in the 31st minute, and that is that red card on Huijsen. And this is just not up for debate. This is not up for debate. There is no discussion to be had here. If you don't understand the rules of the sport, watch something else. The rules are very, very clear about this. In order for this to be a red card, you need to be the last defender, and it needs to be a clear goal-scoring opportunity. This was neither. Does it look to you like Huijsen is the last defender here? Because he's not. He is not the last defender. Militao is closer to the goal than he is. Militao is a very speedy player. He could have easily continued that run and challenged the Real Sociedad forward. There is no way. This was 40 meters away from goal. How on earth is this a clear goal-scoring opportunity? But more importantly, Huijsen was not the last defender. This is never a red card. I challenge anybody to say otherwise because it's very simple. The rules are plain to see, easy to understand, and written in black and white. This is never a red card. But this is the kind of shit we're going to have to deal with all year. And it's infuriating. I hate talking about refs, you guys. And I promise I'll stop talking about refs the moment they stop. They don't matter. But this is just, we're going to have to fight against this all season. Now, the difference with last season and this season, because they did this last year as well. When we were 7 points clear, the next 3 matches, we were robbed systematically. The difference is that last year we weren't good enough to compensate. This year we are. You can take the goals away and you can make up calls and you can leave us with 10 men and disallow a bunch of goals, but we're scoring enough goals that we're able to overcome the ref issue. We weren't able to do it last year, but have no doubt about it. This has been going on for years and it continues. Incredibly upsetting. We continued playing with 10 men. The second goal came in the 44th minute. Fantastic goal by Guler. This was an amazing play by Kylian on the left, who literally invented a beautiful little spin away from his defender. Kylian right now is just, everything is working for him. Every dribble, every move, every shot. He's just in a really kind of incredible state of form. Wonderful play by Kylian, puts the ball in the middle of the box, and Arda Guler uses the momentum of the ball to turn away from the defender and find just the right amount of space to hit that first shot, like instinctively, immediately with that left foot and put the ball in the back of the net. This was a great goal by Arda, who's having a phenomenal season, and a wonderful play by Kylian. In the second half, obviously, here you just have to hold on. And we can't read anything into sort of the tactics of the team. And there is nothing beyond the sort of 31st minute. There is nothing for us to read or interpret. With 10 men, you just hold on. And you can tell that they practiced it because they looked like they knew what they were doing. The moment they went to 10 men, they looked like they all knew exactly what they had to do. So I think that we did a pretty good job during those 60 minutes with 10 men. In the second half, we had Fede come in for Ibrahim. Like I say, the moment shit hits the fan, Fede has to come on the pitch because he's just such a reliable player. And he's such a wonderful defender and covers so much ground. And Brahim, of course, had a very, very quiet day. So that change made a lot of sense to me. Real Sociedad started to push up and look dangerous in the first few minutes in that second half. And then, of course, in the 53rd minute, you have the penalty. Now, here, what can we say? I think it's a penalty. It clearly hits Carvajal's hand and redirects the trajectory of the ball. I don't think any of us can argue about this. Mind you, if this had been Cubarsí, they would have interpreted some bizarre, well, he's going to ground. It's funny, when you listen to the commentators here on Movistar, the commentators will change the rules of the game depending on who it's happening to. So this play, I guarantee you that if this had been Cubarsí, it would have been like, well, the rule is that if you're going to ground and you're falling to ground, that it doesn't count. They would have made something up. But no, in my mind, this was a penalty. And I think rightfully given to Real Sociedad. So anyway, at this point, again, in the second half, it really is just about holding on. I think we did manage to create some danger. I think just having Kylian up front, every time we stole the ball, we looked potentially dangerous just because Kylian has so much mobility up front. So I think we did as much as we could, considering that we were just playing with 10 men. In the second half, of course, Courtois had to participate with some, unbelievable saves. It's amazing to me how Courtois can go from, it must be very difficult from a concentration standpoint to not do anything for like 45 minutes. You're just standing under the sticks, and all of a sudden to have to just quickly be mission critical and to turn on your reflexes. It must be a very difficult thing to do, but Courtois showed us once again why I think he's the best goalkeeper in the world. So Courtois kept us in the game. Now Vini, I think, continued to be quite sloppy in the second half. By the 60-plus minute, I was already thinking, take Vini off. I would have probably subbed him a few minutes earlier, maybe for a Rodrigo or something like that. But of course, with 10 men, that's probably too risky. But in the 67th minute, Xavi finally did take Vini off. Vini and Ceballos came off. Asensio and Fran came in. Again, this is very sensible. You need fresh legs and you need to defend. Bini was sort of, not doing, not really contributing much. In the 81st minute, Carvajal came off for Trent. Again, fresh legs. I think that was a very sensible move. Probably one I would have made a few minutes earlier as well, I think. In the final moments of the match, again, Courtois absolutely mission critical. In the 86th minute, we took Arda Guler off and brought in Alaba. Again, makes a lot of sense. Arda Guler was clearly tired. You could tell, and what you needed were fresh legs to defend in those sort of final minutes. In terms of takeaways, look, all right, the refs, what's obvious is that we're going to have to deal with this ref crap for the rest of the season. Unfortunately, that's one of the takeaways that I have to mention. Number two, I think we're just playing much better football. I think Xavi knows he's using the entire roster of players. He's rotating very effectively. I think that the message he's sending to the players is that everybody needs to be ready and switched on because everybody's going to get minutes. And I do think that this is a wonderful way to keep all the players motivated. It's a great way of avoiding injuries. I think you minimize the risk of injuries with the more you rotate. I think you have fresher legs for more minutes. I love what Xavi is doing. In terms of the play itself, this is much more vertical football than we saw last year. And last year we had these sort of long spells of kind of stupid possession. We have a lot more bite this year. We have a lot more teeth. And that is because when we're in possession, we're always looking for the deep ball, the through ball, the ball that goes inside out or outside in. But we're always looking for the diagonal pass, for the run into space to get behind defenders, the through balls. I think this is just much more vertical football. There's more movement off the ball. It just feels like the vision's better. Even the center backs, when they receive the ball, their first reflex isn't just to sort of pass it to the pivot or laterally pass it to the other center back. Everybody, no matter how far back you are, the moment you receive the ball, you lift your head and you're looking for that deep run. You're looking for Vini or Kylian to make that run. And that happens as far back, even Courtois, sometimes when I see him with the ball, he immediately raises his head to see if he can catch a run. This is a team that is much more, I think, geared to scoring and much more dangerous. I think Xavi's doing a wonderful job of getting the best out of these players, and so far I'm really happy with what I see. I think the first 30 minutes were excellent yesterday, and it's a real crime that red card sort of just ruined the match, because I think we were in for a hell of a performance. Okay, in terms of players, look, again, very difficult to do this because they only had 30 minutes of proper football to play. The rest was just kind of scrambling to stay alive. But we can make some comments. Okay, Courtois I think was excellent. I think I'd give him a 7 or an 8. Again, this guy just, he can be sort of disappeared for ages, but then when you need him, he's there with incredible reflexes. Always gives you such a sense of security. I thought Courtois was great. Carvajal, I thought was so-so. I think Carvajal had a sort of reasonable first half. He did make a couple of fantastic passes and great crosses into the box. I think he had a reasonable first half, but I think in the second half he sort of struggled and died down a little bit. Again, I'm a little bit surprised that the change with Trent came so late. I would have maybe subbed Carvajal a little bit earlier. It's great to see him back, and it's great to see him able to perform after what he went through. But I just don't think he had a particularly good night. I think his previous performance, I think, was a little better. Militao, I thought, was excellent. Militao, if I had to give him a grade, I'd probably give him an 8. Probably an 8 out of 10. I thought he was excellent. He looked quicker. I think he's starting to recover that tiny bit of speed that I think he had lost. But he looked great in the air. He looked really aware. His positioning was very good. He was very effective in 50-50 challenges. He felt very alert, very kind of engaged with the match. I was really happy with Militao. I think he's improving and really recovering his form. Okay, Huijsen, I think in the minutes that he played pretty well. Didn't set the world on fire, but I think he was sort of solid. But what are you going to say? I mean, the red card was not his fault. First of all, there was very little contact in that run. It was definitely a foul. It certainly could have been a yellow, but under no circumstance was this a red. You could see him doing this, when the camera caught him. He was saying, with two fingers, that there were two defenders. He was not the last defender. This was never a red card. So unfortunately, Huijsen could only play 30 minutes, but I think played reasonably well. Okay, Carreras had another really consistent performance, and I'm starting to really, like this player. I mentioned in my previous video, he runs a lot, covers a lot of ground because he's always participating in the attack. I think he almost comes up on every single attack, but then he recovers very quickly. So he's a player that physically, I think, is very generous in terms of his effort, runs a lot, he's very quick. He had a slightly harder time in the second half yesterday. Take Kubo is a very difficult player to mark. But I think overall, Carreras, I think, played a very solid match and was pretty consistent. I'm quite happy with what I've seen with Carreras so far. Okay, Tchouaméni had another fabulous performance. I think of all the players, the one that probably stands out the most in terms of change from last year to this year, I think Tchouaméni is up there because he's having a phenomenal season. This was another exceptional performance. I'd probably give him an 8 out of 10 as well. He's just in an incredible streak. He's playing so well. He's so dominant. Yesterday, if you notice, he had to sort of alternate. He played in the pivot defensive midfield position for a while, but also a center back. He's doing both things very, very well. And I think he's just having probably the best season. This is probably the best period for Tchouaméni that we've seen since he's arrived. It's spectacular. He's having a spectacular year. Okay, Ceballos I thought was sort of so-so. Not bad. He was a little bit deep, so didn't participate too much in attack. Most of his duties were sort of further back. He wasn't bad. You guys have heard me critique Ceballos before because sometimes I think he tends to hold the ball a little bit too long, especially when you're in transition. You have to release the ball very quickly, and you want to get the ball to the wings as quickly as you can. Sometimes Ceballos just has that one dribble too many. He sometimes, in order to feel control over the ball, sometimes holds it too much. He makes one or two unnecessary dribbles. Sometimes I think he slows us down, but he is a good player and contributes a lot, and I think was sort of okay. I don't think it was fantastic. It was sort of okay. Arda Guler, I thought was excellent. Arda, we're getting so much out of Arda Guler this year, and Xabi Alonso is giving him so many minutes. It is quite clear that Xabi Alonso has an enormous amount of trust and faith in Arda Guler, and I don't think he's wrong. Arda is having a fantastic year. He's a player that I've mentioned. I prefer him as an interior player. I don't like Arda Guler on the wing that much. That's not really his he's not really a speedy winger. He's a player that is extremely intelligent, has great vision, an amazing passer. And by the way, he's a very good finisher. I tend to like Arda play more as an interior player, but I like him to play closer to goal. In some of the previous matches, he was playing really far back, and Xabi was using Arda as kind of the first outlet player in terms of defensive transition, and he did a very good job in that position. Yesterday, he drifted further up, and the closer he is to the rival box, the better, because Arda is an incredibly dangerous player, and he knows how to finish. So I thought Arda had a really, really good match, and I think Xabi Alonso is doing an excellent job getting the most out of Arda Guler. He's really turning into just a critical pillar of this squad. Okay, Brahim, I thought Brahim, didn't have his day. He didn't have his day when he got the ball, which was pretty rare. He was always very well marked. He had a very hard time getting away from defenders, and very hard time kind of making anything happen. I think Brahim, it was just not his day. Participated very little. He had spells where he sort of disappeared. And then when he got the ball, like I say, sort of lost it quite easily and just didn't make an impact of any kind. Okay, Vini, I don't know. Vini just, I didn't think, look, he had some good plays and some good combinations with Kylian and had a couple of good runs, but I just don't think he played very well. I think there were too many too many first touches that were sloppy. There were too many passes that were sloppy. It's just, something is kind of missing, and it's kind of hard to watch. I don't know. I think psychologically, Vini is just still not quite where he needs to be. He was obviously really pissed off when he was subbed, and I understand that. He's a professional. He wants to play every minute. But he has to understand it, because he just wasn't playing particularly well. I think there were a lot of opportunities where that last pass, the last decision is poor. And I think we're still waiting for Vini to sort of get back to form, the player he was a couple of years ago. We're still waiting for that Vini to come back. Okay, Kylian is the opposite of everything I just said. Kylian, I think, is the best player in the world at the moment. He's certainly the most informed player in the world at the moment. Lord knows how many goals this guy can score. He's already had a couple taken away under very questionable circumstances, but he's scoring so many goals. He looks lethal. His finishing now is just absolutely just brutal. He's absolutely lethal. His speed, he's just impossible to mark in big spaces, and he's so quick to turn and get away from defenders. Kylian right now is probably the best version of Kylian we've seen. This is as good an Mbappe as we've seen during the course of his career, and I couldn't be happier. So anyway, listen, those are my thoughts. Lots to say. I think the 30 minutes that we put on in the first half were excellent. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I always love reading those. But I think we're on the right track. I think Xavi's doing the right things. I love what I see under normal circumstances. We're going to have to deal with the ref crap. But I like what I see. And this team gives us a lot of reasons to hope and dream. I think we bring home some silverware this year. I really do believe it. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for joining me as always. Love you guys. And as always and forever, a la Madrid.